You are watching this video right now because something truly amazing and strange has just happened. I want you to stop what you are doing for just 1 minute and really think about this situation. Think about how serious this is. When was the last time in your life that you saw something like this? Imagine a person who used to be a royal. This is someone who used to walk through the giant, beautiful halls of Buckingham Palace. This is a person who sat down and talked with the famous Queen Elizabeth II. This is a person who stood in front of millions of people all over the world and made a very special promise during a royal wedding. Now, imagine that same person being told they cannot enter a country. Imagine them being stopped at the border like they are not even famous at all. This is not just a silly story in a magazine. It is not just some gossip about a celebrity. What we are seeing right now is a huge event that involves the whole world. It is a loud, clear, and very harsh message from one of the richest and most powerful parts of our planet. This person thought they could find a safe place in the beautiful city of Dubai. They thought they would get a red carpet and a warm welcome. But instead, they saw a red light and a closed door. Instead, as say, this woman, who used to have everyone's attention, was held for hours in a very embarrassing way. She thought her name would get her through the gate, but she found out that her history and her past mattered more than her fame. But the real story is not just that she was told to leave. The real story is why they told her to go away. Why would a country that welcomes every billionaire and internet star suddenly say this one woman is too much trouble? The answer involves a very smart move by the government, a deep respect for old traditions, and a secret warning sent through the shadows. People say this warning came from the very top of the British government. If you think this is just a small travel problem, you are not seeing the whole picture. We are about to show you the hidden forces, the secret papers, and the one phone call that changed everything. Welcome to a new world. The world has just said no. Prince William has decided that he is not going to take any more trouble from anyone. He is done with the drama and the fighting. Recently, news came out that Prince William confirmed something very important. He said that Lady Louise Windsor, his younger cousin, is going to get a very big and very meaningful gift. This gift is a special inheritance, which is like a treasure left behind by someone who passed away. For a long time, many people did not notice Lady Louise. She is a very quiet young royal who does not try to be in the news. But William's decision changed all of that in 1 second. Inside the palace, people started reacting very quickly. Not everyone was happy to hear about this. Some people were actually quite upset. People are wondering why William did this. Was it a smart plan? Was it a surprise? Or was it something very personal? This big change means a lot for the future of the royal family. We are going to find out the truth about William's shocking news and a very surprising move made by Queen Camilla. This is the story of the battle for a secret place called the Grey Garden. On the evening of January 30th, 2026, Buckingham Palace shared a letter with the world. This letter ended 70 years of keeping a very big secret. The letter was short and very clear. It sent a giant shock through the whole royal world. It said that Lady Louise Windsor, the quiet 22-year-old granddaughter of Queen Elizabeth II, had officially been given a hidden house in Scotland. Almost no one knew this house even existed. Not the regular people, not the reporters, and not even the senior members of the royal family. The house was known by only one name, the Grey Garden. This place is hidden very deep in the harsh and lonely mountains of the Scottish Highlands. For a long time, the location was a total secret, almost like a piece of top-secret information for the government. But the real drama had been starting long before the palace told the public. For many months before that day in 2026, there were very intense and quiet talks happening inside a place called Clarence House. Queen Camilla and her family, the Parker Bowles family, were working very hard behind the scenes. They wanted to take control of the Grey Garden for themselves. They sent experts to look at the land. They had big teams of lawyers looking at the rules of who owned it. They were making plans to change this quiet, secret home into a symbol of their own power within the family. They were so sure they could take it. They thought the law would let them win. They were certain they would get the house. But they were wrong. They did not know that a long time ago, Queen Elizabeth II had already made her move to stop them. To understand why this house caused so much trouble, you have to understand what the Grey Garden really means. The house was bought in 1952. That was the same year Elizabeth became the Queen. But when she bought it, she did not link it to the official royal business. It did not have a royal name on the papers. Instead, it was put under a private company so it could stay a secret forever. On a piece of paper, it looked like a normal house. But in real life, it was a very special place for the Queen. The world knew Elizabeth as a lady who always did her duty and followed a strict schedule. But inside the stone walls of the Grey Garden, away from the cameras and the fancy clothes. She could just be a regular person. This was the place where she could read secret government papers in total privacy. It was where she could hide from everyone who was always watching her. The house was so far away from people that her husband, Prince Philip, thought it was too lonely. Even more surprising is that King Charles III had never even been there. Because the king did not know the house well, he did not have a personal reason to protect it. This made it hard for him to defend the house when Camilla started her plan to take it. But Queen Elizabeth knew this would happen. She knew that her real legacy was not her crown or her diamonds. Her legacy was in her private letters, her diaries, and the quiet moments no one else saw. These treasures were all hidden inside the Grey Garden. And there was one secret rule in the papers for the house. It named only one person to own it. It said no one else could take it or change it. That person was Lady Louise Windsor. At only 22 years old, she became the protector of a place that was much more than just a house. She was given the Queen's privacy and history. By picking Louise, the Queen showed that she liked people who are quiet and kind more than people who are loud and want power. The fight for the Grey Garden ended before most people even knew it was happening. The teams of lawyers had to stop what they were doing. The big plans fell apart. What is left is a decision that will change the royal family for the next 100 years. Is this story just about a piece of land, or is it about who gets to control the secret stories of the woman who was queen for so long? Let's look closer at the secrets of this house. For over 70 years, the royal family was very good at making sure the public did not know about this multi-million-dollar estate. In the official records, the house was never called the Grey Garden. Instead, it was listed under a boring name called Site Fee. If anyone looked at the books, they would just think it was a small bill for fixing a fence or taking care of the grass. It was a perfect way to hide something huge by making it look completely normal. The Grey Garden is located deep in the wild and rocky mountains of Scotland. This is not the pretty green grass you see in holiday pictures. It is a place with hard mountains and ancient pine trees. The wind there is very strong and the weather can become dangerous in just a few minutes. The house is hidden in a low spot where it cannot be seen by anyone hiking or walking nearby. Queen Elizabeth bought it only a few months after her father died and she became queen. While she was getting ready for her big coronation, she was also secretly finding a place to hide from her new royal life. She made sure the house was her own personal property, not part of the government's land. The house itself looks just like the woman who bought it. It is made of dark grey stone and was built to be very strong. It has to be strong to survive the freezing cold winters in Scotland. Inside the house there are no gold ceilings or giant rooms for parties. It was made for just one person. A few people who used to work there said the Queen would go there for 5 or 6 days at a time to be alone. She would still do her work and read her government boxes, but she did it in total secret. There were no meetings and no one was watching her. At the Grey Garden, she was not the Queen. She was just Elizabeth. Other people in her family did not like the place very much. Prince Philip thought it was too quiet. Princess Anne thought it was too lonely and a little bit spooky. Princess Margaret only visited once and left in less than a day because she thought it felt like a cold place for a monk. But the most interesting part is that King Charles never went there. For Charles, royal houses are places to fix up and show off to the world. He did not understand why his mother loved this hidden spot so much. When Queen Camilla started her plan to take the house in 2025, King Charles could not really stop her. To him, it was just a nameless spot on a map that he barely remembered. He did not know it was his mother's most private and special place. But the Grey Garden was very powerful because of what was hidden inside the walls. The house held handwritten letters, old photos that had never been seen, and recordings of the Queen's voice. None of these things were on a computer. They were raw history. They were the kind of secrets that could change how everyone thinks about the royal family. For 70 years, these things stayed hidden. They were waiting for someone who understood that the real strength of the crown is in what you keep secret, not in what you show the public. And as we saw in 2026, Queen Elizabeth had already picked the person to guard those secrets. Camilla's plan to take the house did not start with a big announcement. It started quietly in the offices where the royal money is managed. By the year 2024, Camilla had been the queen for more than 2 years, but she felt like something was missing. She wanted to have more power and control over the family's history. She started asking questions about the secret accounts. She did not use the house's real name because she did not want to make people suspicious. She said she was just doing a routine check on the money. She was looking for royal houses that were not on the official list. She knew that if a house was not on the list, it was easier to take over and change. Camilla was not the only one who wanted the house. Her family, the Parker Bowles family, also saw a chance to get more power and wealth. Her son Tom Parker Bowles, who is a famous food writer, had ideas about turning the land into a place for fancy food tours. They thought this house was more than just a building. They thought it was a way to make their family name famous forever by linking it to the Queen's private life. By early 2026, Camilla made her move. She had a private meeting with King Charles and showed him a beautiful proposal in a leather book. She did not call it a takeover, she called it protection. She told the king that she wanted to make the house a place for writers and to help protect the animals and trees on the land. To anyone else, it would have sounded like a great plan. It sounded like she was trying to save an old house and help the world. But really, it was a fight for who gets to control the secrets of the royal family. Camilla wanted to be the one who decided how history remembered Queen Elizabeth. But her plan had a big problem. She was so sure she would win that she made some major mistakes. Before she even talked to the king, she secretly sent experts to the house. These experts were seen walking around the mountains with high-tech tools. They were making budgets for fixing the house and mapping out the land. But this was against the rules. The local people in Scotland, who had worked for the Queen for many years, were very protective of her privacy. They knew something was wrong as soon as they saw these strangers. When King Charles finally got Camilla's request, he did not get angry. Instead, he moved very slowly and carefully. He started asking his own experts about who really owned the house. He was in a very tough spot. He loved his wife, but he also loved the memory of his mother. He was being asked to give away a piece of history that he did not even know. His waiting gave Princess Anne a chance to step in. Anne is very smart and she was ready to stop Camilla. The tension was very high during a secret meeting on January 12, 2026. Only the king and a few advisors were there. Camilla's team was ready to show their final plans. But Charles told them no. He said the house could not be given away. He said there was an old agreement that he could not change. Camilla had tried everything. She had lawyers and plans and the king's ear. But she was blocked by a force she did not know about. At that moment, she realized that the old queen had planned for this years ago. Elizabeth had put a guard in place that a new queen could not beat. The dream of a Highland empire for the Parker Bowles family vanished in a second. On January 15, 2026, the official news was shared. It was a legal move that Queen Elizabeth had started years before she died. To understand why Camilla's plan failed, you have to look at a secret paper signed in 2021 at Windsor Castle. This was not the Queen's main will. It was a separate, very specific paper just for her private life. It was her safety net. Inside this paper was something called Clause 31. This was a rule that made the house untouchable. It said the house could only be passed on after certain people had died. It said the government could never control the house. And the most important rule was that Queen Camilla and her family were banned from ever owning or even entering the Grey Garden. Only 4 people knew about this rule until 2026. Princess Anne and Prince Edward were 2 of them. They stayed quiet for years, watching Camilla try to take the house, knowing all along that she would never be allowed to have it. But why did the Queen choose Lady Louise? Why would she give a multi-million-dollar house to a 22-year-old girl who stays out of the news? The answer is in the summers of 2019, 2020 and 2021. While the other family members were busy with parties at Balmoral, Louise would show up with just a book and some hiking boots. The people who worked at the palace noticed that the Queen and Louise had a very special bond. Louise did not try to get attention. She was just there for her grandmother. During those last few summers, they spent a lot of time together in private libraries. Everyone thought they were just talking about horses, but Louise was actually learning how to take care of the Queen's private papers. She was the only one the Queen trusted to handle the things that were never meant for the public to see. The Queen saw that Louise was smart and loved history, but she was also very loyal. She knew Louise would treat the house like a sacred place, not like a business. The Queen signed the secret papers just a few months after her husband's funeral. She knew that once she was gone, people would try to turn her private life into a business. By giving the house to Louise, she made sure her private thoughts stayed safe. She wanted her diaries and recordings to stay with someone who loved her as a person, not just as a monarch. The news of the inheritance shocked the palace. It was not just about land. It was about the Queen's final act of loyalty to herself. She chose to trust the person she believed would never let her life be changed or rewritten. As the news spread through London in 2026, people were very happy. They thought Louise was a great choice because she represents tradition and honor. But inside Windsor Castle, things were very tense. The silence was thick with anger and icy looks. Queen Camilla is not a woman who likes to lose. She had spent many years working hard to become the queen consort. To be beaten by a young girl and a secret paper from a dead queen was a very big loss. There was a big fight on the evening of January 26, 2026, in a long hallway at Windsor Castle. People who were there said the tension was so strong it felt like the glass chandeliers might break. Camilla was shaking because she was so upset. She walked up to Princess Anne and accused her of being sneaky. She said Anne was trying to ruin the Queen's job and that she was using Louise to get attention. Camilla said Louise was too young and didn't have enough experience. But Anne stayed very calm and strong. When Camilla stopped talking, Anne said something very sharp. She told Camilla that neither of them were supposed to be where they are, yet here they are. It was a very cold and powerful thing to say. Camilla left the room without a word and reportedly cried in private. But the fight was not just in the palace. There was also a secret war happening with computers and cameras. Louise's mother, Sophie, used to be a public relations expert. She knew that people might try to start rumors or attack Louise to get the house back. She knew the Parker Bowles family might try to find other ways to win. So in 2025, Sophie ordered a big check of the security at the house. What they found was very scary. There were many attempts to fly drones over the house to find secret doors. Even worse, workers found hidden cameras in the trees. These cameras were set up to watch everyone who came and went from the house. Sophie acted fast. She got military equipment to block the drones and made sure the guards at the house were people who were very loyal to the old queen. She built a wall of protection around her daughter's new home. While Sophie was protecting the house, Prince Edward was protecting the family. In November 2025, Queen Camilla tried one last time to stop the inheritance. She called Edward and said that they should wait to give Louise the house so the news wouldn't be mean to her. She said it was about family unity. But Edward knew it was just a trick. He knew she wanted more time for her lawyers to find a way to stop the plan. Edward is usually very nice, but this time he was very strong. He told Camilla that his daughter was not going to be a placeholder for her ambitions. He told her she had already had her turn. Now, let's talk about another person who is having a lot of trouble. You are watching this right now because something very strange has happened. Imagine a person who used to be a royal being turned away at a border. This is exactly what happened to Meghan Markle. This is not just a gossip story. It is a giant message from one of the richest parts of the world. Meghan thought she could find a safe place in the beautiful city of Dubai. But instead of a warm welcome, she was stopped. Insiders say she was held for hours in a very embarrassing way. She thought her name would get her through the gate, but she found out that her history mattered more than her fame. But the real story is why they told her to go away. Why would a country that welcomes everyone else suddenly say this one woman is too much trouble? The answer involves a smart move by the government and a secret warning. People say this warning came from the very top of the British government. If you think this is just a small travel problem, you are not seeing the whole picture. We are about to show you the hidden forces and the one phone call that changed everything. Dubai is a place where billionaires live in giant glass towers. It was supposed to be a place where Meghan could escape all the noise and live in luxury. She thought it would be her chance to be famous again far away from London and California. But you must understand something about the United Arab Emirates. They do not just let anyone in, especially not someone who is always in the middle of a big fight. Insiders say Meghan arrived at the border expecting to walk right through the special lane for important people. She is a woman who has been at the very top of the world. She was the Duchess of Sussex and had a giant deal with Netflix. In her mind, the doors of the world should open as soon as they hear her name. But instead, she hit a wall. The border officials stopped her immediately. This was not a normal check. They had planned to stop her. She was not arrested, but she was held in a private room for hours. Imagine how that feels. 1 minute you are a famous star, and the next minute you are being asked why you are even there. People say it was very tense and quiet. It was a very embarrassing moment for her. As the hours went by, she realized her plan was falling apart. So why did Dubai say no? To understand this, you have to know how their government works. In the West, fame is handled by people who fix your reputation on social media. But in the Middle East, they care more about history and being loyal. The leaders of Dubai have spent years making their city a safe place for powerful people. They protect that image very carefully. When they looked at Meghan, they did not see a victim. They saw someone who caused too many problems. First, there are the very strong ties between Dubai and the United Kingdom. These are not just friendships. They are billion-dollar business deals and security partnerships that have lasted for many years. The ruling families in the Middle East have a very deep respect for kings and queens. They thought Meghan's attacks on the British royal family were not brave. They thought she was being disloyal. The last thing they wanted was to help someone who was at war with the royal family they respect so much. In their world, you do not disrespect the house that made you famous. But it goes even deeper than that. Experts call it pattern recognition. In the world of security, people look at what you do, not just what you say. And the things Meghan does always seem to cause drama. Everywhere she goes, there is a fight. Whether it is people in London saying she bullied them, or business partners in America walking away, or giant projects failing. She has a long history of burning bridges. The people in Dubai are experts at knowing who is a risk. They saw all the lawsuits and the complaints from people who used to work for her. They saw a woman who was always in the middle of a conflict. In the Middle East, there is a saying that if one person says you are a horse, you can ignore them. But if many people say it, you should look for a saddle. When many people across the world are telling the same story about chaos and fighting, the government of Dubai decided it was better to close the door before the storm reached them. This sends a huge message. Dubai is a city that is open to the world, but they decided this one person was too big of a risk. That is a nice way of saying they do not want her problems to become their problems. They saw her TV shows and her interviews where she said mean things about the royal family. To the people in Dubai, this was not a strong thing to do. It was just a way to start trouble. After waiting for hours, the final answer was given. They told her she had to turn around and leave. No one was going to change their mind. Her big plan to start over was ruined. As she got on a plane to leave, she realized how alone she really was. This was the first sign that the powerful people of the world were starting to turn their backs on her. And if the rejection from Dubai was a shock, what happened next in Saudi Arabia would be even worse. This move by William shows a big change in how the royals handle things. They used to never complain or explain. But now they are being very smart about protecting themselves. William knows the Middle Eastern royal families are very traditional. By making sure they saw Meghan as a risk, he cut off her last chance to act like a royal. He saw her as radioactive, which means she causes damage wherever she goes. He decided that if she wanted to be independent from the royal family, then she would really be on her own. She would not get the protection of the family name anymore. When the Saudis said no, it proved William was right to be worried. You can hire the best people to make you look good on Instagram, but you cannot change the facts of what you have done. William waited and watched, and then he used the truth to stop her. When Meghan's team found out what happened, they were very angry. She realized that her plan was stopped by the very man she had been attacking for years. She tried to beat the royal family, but she found out that the family has teeth, and William was the one showing them. Now let's look back at California. The dream of being American royalty is turning into a nightmare of debt and being left alone. For a few years, their giant house in Montecito was a symbol of their freedom. They wanted to show the world they did not need the king's money. But now the walls of that house are closing in. It costs a lot of money to live that way. They have to pay for private security all day and night. They have a giant mansion with many rooms and expensive cars. When they first moved there, they had lots of money from big TV deals. But now the money is starting to run out. Their deal with Spotify ended in a very embarrassing way. One of the bosses even called them grifters, which is a mean word for people who take money without working. Their Netflix deal hasn't been as successful as they hoped. Because they aren't making as much money, they are having trouble paying for their expensive life. People are saying they might even have to sell their giant house soon. For someone like Meghan, who cares a lot about looking rich and successful, this is a very scary situation. After finishing this story, what do you think? Is Meghan's silence during this whole investigation a smart way to protect herself? Is she being a master manipulator, like William thinks? Or is her silence a way of admitting that she has a past she doesn't want anyone to find out about? Some people think she is just being careful. Other people think she is hiding a lot of secrets. We want to know your thoughts. Do you think Prince William was right to warn the other countries? Or do you think he was being mean to his brother's wife? Please share your ideas with us in the comments section below. We love to hear what you have to say about the royal family. Remember to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any more royal news. Also, make sure to click on the next video showing on your screen right now. There is always more to the story, and we want to show it to you. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. This world of kings and queens is full of secrets, and we are here to uncover them all with you. Goodbye for now, and keep watching to stay updated on everything happening in the palace. There is never a dull moment when it comes to the House of Windsor and the people who have left it behind. See you soon!